Hey everyone. Hey, it's Kathy Talone. I'm coming to you live. And hey, thanks for joining me. Yeah, so what we're doing today is talking about how to navigate the holidays with a little bit more ease. So we're going to do it today for about 20 minutes, and we're going to do it tomorrow and Thursday as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to get everything squared away here. And I've been talking to so many friends. I've been talking to clients. I've been talking to family members. I'm starting to see it on social media, right? The holidays are kicking in, and there is a preparation period, and there's a prep time, and there's an emotional process, I guess, that we go through this time of year, kind of gearing up for what the holidays are going to look like. So that's really what I want to talk to you about today. And I'm going to add some support. Want to encourage you to maybe look at some behaviors around it, some stories around it, and we're going to hold each other accountable as well. So again, welcome to day one of this 3-part mini-series, Navigating the Holidays with Ease. Today, we're talking about the personal vision, breaking paradigms. A paradigm really is just a mental pattern, something, maybe an old story that makes us believe or think in a certain way. And I'm going to tell you a personal story about that. And what we need to do then, once we release these stories, is bring a new story in. So we're going to create a new story, and that's what my intention is for today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about our holiday to be list, and then on Thursday we're talking about giving and receiving and how sometimes uncomfortable that can be. So again, thanks for being here. If you're on it live, if you're with me right now, why don't you give me a thumbs up and just say, hey, I'm kind of staring into this phone right now, so it's always nice to know someone's on the other end watching. So if you're on the replay, if you're joining me a little bit later, because I know not everyone can be on this live at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, so just write down in the comments replay and just give a little high five or a little wave. So anyway, navigating the holidays with ease. And it's kind of, I was thinking about what I was going to call this little mini series. And really, it's just like, is it, navigating the shit show? Maybe some people feel that way, like navigating the craziness. What does this look like? So first of all, if you know me, you've worked with me, if you've been on some of my videos or even just spoken to me in person, I'm really huge on creating a vision, okay? And it's really just about creating a blueprint in what we want, because we can't have what we want. We can't go down a path if we don't know what path we're on. We can't build a house if we don't have a blueprint. We can't go on vacation if we don't know where we want to go and what that looks like, okay? So first of all, we're going to talk about awareness and the importance of that. We're going to talk about responsibility, and then we're going to talk about move right into creating a vision. So do me a favor, first off, and write between 1 and 10, right? 1 being the least, how you feel about the holidays, coming into the holidays. So if you really, really love the holidays and you have no issues at all, I don't know why you'd be on this call. You're like, yeah, I totally love the holidays. It's my favorite time of the year. Well, that's a 10, right? But if you're just like, no, this just doesn't work for me. I find it, I'm so anxious. And I just have a lot of stories around it, and it just makes me really miserable. That's a 1. So just write down between a 1 and 10 how you really feel about the holidays. So what is conditioned-based thinking? This is where I want to start. We spend our life making decisions based on our current conditions. Okay, so our current conditions right now, we're a week out from Thanksgiving. We're, just over 30 days, 45, 50 days tops from 2020, right? We have Hanukkah, we have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, we have all of these things in between. And there's a lot packed in there. So this is what our current condition is. So basing decisions on what's going on right now and what's presenting itself as it's rolling on can be very, very difficult, especially as we get closer. So what we want to do is make decisions before our situations take over, before we kind of get into this momentum and this forward movement into the holidays. Because we're in the driver's seat. We're in the driver's seat of all of our experiences and everything that goes on. So number one, we want to talk about awareness. Why are we even doing this? Why are we even having this conversation right now on what's going on for the holidays? Well, because like we said, it can be very, very difficult. I talked to a beautiful friend of mine the other day, and she's starting to build up some serious anxiety over the holidays, and she really wants to change some of her situations, and I'm encouraging her to do that. But the language that she said, and this is the awareness piece, the language that she's talking about is it's just crazy, right? And I've heard this from so many people. It's just crazy. It's busy. It's chaos. The news is bad. The weather's bad. The traffic's bad. I have to spend too much money. I don't want to go to my in-laws. I don't want to go to my cousins. I don't want to see that person. I don't want to eat their food. I don't want to put up with their crying baby. You name it, right? I don't want to make cookies for my son's school. I mean, all these things. So when we draw awareness to it and say, okay, this is really, really making me anxious. This is really uncomfortable for me. We can start making some changes. Now, when we start feeling this anxiety creep up and we have this bubble over our head and it's the crazy. So we start listening to our language and it's chaos, craziness, busyness, upset, right? It's all up here. How you doing? How you doing today? You having a good day? No, I'm crazy. I'm so busy. I hate the holidays. It's too much. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough, right? It's crazy. So what I really encourage my clients to do, and what I was really talking to this beautiful friend of mine about doing, is taking this cloud, this big cloud of crazy. So the awareness here is listening to the stories we're telling ourselves and our friends. Craziness, busyness. Let's pull that down. Let's look at it. What does that look like? What does your crazy look like? Because we can do that now because we're not in the middle of it, right? So this is what the conditioned-based decisions are doing. We want to do this before. We want to know that we're responsible for what we're doing moving forward, okay? So here we are. We take that cloud down and we look at it. What does busy mean? Well, busy means I don't have enough time for myself. Busy means that I'm doing everything for everybody else. Busy means that I over-volunteered as usual. What does crazy mean? Well, crazy looks like I'm going to be stuck in traffic at the mall. Well, what does chaotic mean, right? So we can bring all these things down. Where's that anxiety coming from? Well, it's coming from because now I have 3 people reaching out to me talking about where dinner's going to be. And I don't want to go to any of those places. We start creating an awareness around what this raise in our temperature is, what this raise in our anxiety starts to feel like. And we start taking responsibility for our personal happiness. Okay? We watch our language, we become aware of our heightened or our going down the path of a heightened emotional state. Then we start taking responsibility for what that is. What does that really look like? Because I don't want to give this to everybody anymore, right? I don't want to post it on social media that I'm freaking out and I'm too busy. I don't want to talk about it at work. I mean, we don't want to hear our coworkers come in every single day and say, oh my gosh, this is just terrible. This is horrible, right? So create an awareness about what the stories we're telling ourselves and others. Then let's have some responsibility on how we're going to do this. And that's where the vision comes in, okay? So creating a vision is super important. And it's tied around everything that we do, in our day, in our week, in our year, in our life. But we can create this mini vision around the holidays. And again, right now is the perfect time to start this. If anybody wants any help with this, just reach out to me. I do it personally all the time. I do it with my clients. I do it with my friends. It's really creating an emotional connection to our future. And for this conversation, our future is the next several weeks. So let's start and think of ourselves at the beginning of January, right? So it's the beginning of January. Maybe think about last year at the beginning of January, and we turn around and we look back at how we just navigated the holidays, okay? So it's New Year's 2020, and we turn around and we look back and we say, wow, that was a mess. That was a shit show. That was so much. And now I have this huge holiday hangover. Well, how do we want this to look? How do we want to do this? Okay, we brought the cloud down. We've looked at what busy means. We've looked at what chaotic means. What do we want to change? Let's take the responsibility. So how are we going to do this? Well, busyness for me is being stuck in traffic, having way too many people. I get a little claustrophobic in the crowds. Okay, so let's create a vision. I know that we all love to shop local, and that's great. But maybe this year we just want to do a little bit more online shopping. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe last year we did all online shopping, and then we started feeling a little guilty, or we felt a little bad, or we got a little anxious because we weren't doing more local shopping. I don't know, but this is the awareness piece that we want to tap into, right? Maybe last year we really did spend way too much money, and it caused a rift with our spouse or in our family. Maybe when we were paying the bills in January, we realized that, we just went like way over budget. Maybe, I remember a few years ago, it wasn't so much about the money, but it was about the things that I bought, the things that we bought the kids. So I used to really love filling underneath the Christmas tree. I loved having the kids come out from their rooms in the morning and having just like a full, area of presents. So I'd kind of buy those filler presents, and they cheap, a lot of times like cheap plastic or cheap like crap. It was just all crap. And I realized that just doesn't make me feel good, right? Even though the kids had a lot of fun because they had additional presents to open and things like that, I was really spending money, even though if it wasn't a lot of money, just on like crap to fill underneath the tree. There's my awareness. My responsibility is I don't want to do that anymore, okay? It's not about having so many presents under the tree or even having an extended time that the kids get to open all these gifts. It just wasn't making me feel good, so I'm not going to do that anymore. And that goes back to a few years ago. We decided that we weren't going to get, additional technology for the kids, but ended up doing that, and it didn't make me feel good. So taking the responsibility on really what we're doing in these situations. So we move from just say presents to family members, to the stories that we tell each other in ourselves. And I was speaking to a friend the other day, and I was talking to a couple people actually, and they're not really looking forward to their holiday tradition of going over to certain people's homes. We talked about why that didn't feel good for them. And there's so many different reasons. Families are complicated right now. So we could talk about, your diet changed. And you may not want to be, in a house where they're not serving food that you don't like. Or you may not like someone who's been invited because there's been situations in the past, just different conversations that come up, right? There's so many stories around family, and these are some of the paradigms, some of the things that really, really haunt us and really create a lot of the anxiety throughout the holidays as well. So I know, I know, and people share these stories with me, and it's really, really deep. It really is. So if we're sitting at the table and, someone says, oh gosh, I remember, that old boyfriend that you used to have, like, oh gosh, I wonder where he is. He was such a jerk. Or, hey, I remember that old car that you used to drive. Or, oh God, I remember you used to like run around the house naked. Like, we're adults at this point, but we still feel like a kid sometimes, and we're very, very vulnerable in situations. So being around family doesn't always feel good to us. And again, a lot of this stuff just bubbles up through the holidays. It reminds us of some issues that we were unworthy of, or some things that maybe we've worked really hard to change, but not everybody sees us for that change in who we are. So I remember, just a personal story, when we were growing up on Christmas, we had always had such a really wonderful morning, and it was so fun, and we'd open the presents, and it was like all of a sudden this huge rush, like everybody stop what they're doing, right? And we'd like run upstairs and get ready to go to church. Nobody wanted to go to church, but we had to. And it was just all this calm and all this fun. And then just like right then we had to switch it and change it and run upstairs and get dressed. And we didn't know what we were wearing. Run out the door, go to church. We were late. And then it just seemed like everywhere we went for the rest of the day, we were late. Well, what happened in the course of that, and it took me years and years and years to really draw that awareness, was everybody, this is how I feel. This is my personal story. Wherever we went, people would say, oh, you're late. You're late. And then we'd go to the next house and they'd be like, oh, here they are. They finally made it, late as usual. And it's just, looking back at that, it just always gave me this real sense of unworthiness. Now, I don't think it was my fault. I was young. I'm not even saying it was my parents' fault. It just was what it was. Everybody was really happy to see us, and everybody was really inviting at the time. But growing up, I had this idea that, wow, we're unworthy because we're late. And then, of course, the story in my family became, oh, you know them, or you know us. Hey, you know us, we're always late, right? My point being, this is the awareness that I've drawn from the holidays, and kind of these little triggers of unworthiness, that we're the family who's always late. And so creating a vision to kind of change these stories, to support us through a lot of these family paradigms that we no longer want to live by. That's not me anymore. I'm late every once in a while, but I am not like a late person. So I'm releasing that story, right? But again, when I go over to families, they might say, oh, you guys were late all the time. And that's really uncomfortable. And that causes some anxiety, along with this whole cloud of everything else that is super crazy through the holidays. So I want to create a vision, okay? What does looking back from the beginning of November, from the beginning of January, what does that look like? Looking back and saying, I want my holiday to feel like this. I want my family to have this experience. It's not like it was in the past. I don't want that same experience because that didn't work for me, okay? I'm not going to show up late, and I don't want people around the table continuing this conversation with me. Does that make sense? Again, so we can do some online shopping to kind of release some of this pressure. We all know that person who works so hard and it's so awesome to stay up until 2:00 in the morning making cookies, right? For our kindergartners, our first graders, our second graders. And it's awesome. But you know what? It's a lot of work. It really is. And this causes, I used to do it. I used to volunteer for everything. And then when I start creating my vision of how I want this holiday to go, I'm not going to do that. Okay? So maybe like I'll just grab a box of candy canes, and that's going to be what's going to just take some pressure off of me for the holidays. And we don't have to. I'm going to hold everybody accountable for this as well. You don't have to do all of these things, right? We don't have to stay up until midnight making these beautiful things for our kids to bring into school. We don't need to be running around and spending a fortune stuck in traffic on a rainy or snowy night just to get that last gift. We don't have to be going over to relatives' houses who don't support who we are anymore. We can make these choices, and that's when I talk about, so we have the awareness that this doesn't feel good to me anymore. We have this personal responsibility that, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to hold myself accountable. Even if they put pressure on me for doing this, I'm not doing it. It doesn't feel right to me anymore. Now, we don't have to be mean. We don't have to be resentful about it. We say, you know what, we're going to make a different choice this year. Every year, several years ago, my husband and I decided that we're not doing anything on Christmas Day. Now, I didn't grow up like that. I told you we were running around crazy everywhere. We were crazy, and like I said, we were late everywhere, and it caused a lot of anxiety from me growing up. We're not doing that. We stay home all day Christmas. We prepare for it. We create that vision. What does it look like for my family? I bring everyone's involved in it, right? We buy presents that support even our day at home. So we might buy really fun and interactive games, or different types of blocks depending on the age of the kids, and we play different things throughout the day. We know what movies for the most part we're going to watch. We put a big turkey in the oven and we eat that throughout the day, but we know we're going to be home all day. And if someone says, hey, why don't you guys come over, I know you don't do anything during the day. Nope, we're happy. This is what we want to do. And when we were younger, when my kids were younger, we did get the pressure from the relatives, right? And that comes in all different shapes and sizes. And that just, well, this is what we've always done. Don't you care about us? Don't you love us? Why wouldn't you do this? The cousins want to see each other, and on and on and on. These are the family stories that we continue to accept as true. But I'm telling you right now, the awareness of this doesn't feel good, the responsibility that no, this is not going to happen for me this year, in a very kind and open way, taking that full responsibility. So again, we're putting ourselves at the beginning of January 2020, we're looking back. How do I want this to play out for myself? What do I want this to look like? Okay? Some people I know, they've given up church. I'm not saying church is good or bad. A lot of people love going to church. Some people go to church just once a year. But for me growing up, that was like kind of a trigger point. It was a little bit of a stressful situation to come into church late every. Whoa. All right. Forgot to turn my notifications off here. My phone's ringing. So anyway, if any of this is resonating with you guys, anybody on the watching want to just write down in the comments maybe a story from your past that just keeps creeping up, that keeps repeating itself, that causes you stress through the holidays. Something that you've been really, really working on changing, but we just say, oh, it will be fine. Oh, it will be fine. How do we navigate that? Because really what happens, or what potentially happens, is we can bring this to everywhere we go, right? So we have this we have the big dark cloud above us that is chaotic, that is crazy, right? All these things we talked about earlier. And we bring it with us. So we say, hey, nice to see you, so-and-so. We bump into them at at a school event or at the supermarket or even on Facebook. And yeah, thanks, Bridget. Nice to see you, Bridget. And this is so true, so thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Where are you going? That sounds exciting. But what we do, we see each other and we say, like, here, I'm just thinking, are you packing because you're moving? I hope so. Good luck with that. We say, hey, what's going on? You say, oh my gosh, like, my life is insane. Now, you didn't see this person for, 2, 3, 4 months. And it's just this, I'm so busy, I'm so crazy, I'm so chaotic, right? So we want to watch our language, but we want to protect ourselves from all of this coming in as well. We're giving this to others. So if we can just stand in our awareness of what's going on and in a personal responsibility of who we want to be and create this vision, I promise you, we can really, really bring this whole anxiety down. And it takes a lot of practice. It really does. But to continue to just give this to others. I had this friend, an old friend of mine, she hated the holidays. She really did. And it was almost like at a point, she started wearing this badge of honor that was, I hate the holidays. So every time I said, hey girl, like, what's going on? Are you getting ready for Thanksgiving or Christmas or the New Year? It was always that just wall went up and it was this resistance of, I hate the holidays. Of course, like eventually I caught on after several years of being friends with her and I was like, I'm not going to ask her anymore, right? But she did have kids. Now, not everybody has kids, right? And that can present other issues and other stories that we tell each other. But we really, really do pass a lot of this anxiety down to our kids. And we know that just from ourselves being kids. Going into my closet first thing in the morning and being like, what am I going to wear? Or we're so late. Or, you name whatever that is that we brought from being kids. Is so much surrounded right around the holidays. And it just continues. So to take some time to create a vision not only helps ourselves, because that's really, really where it needs to start, but it helps our children. They see that we can change the way things have been, that we can truly let go and release these things that either society is telling us we need to spend so much money or all these pressures. Some people, I have a friend, she has no children. And she told me last year, she said, I hate the holidays. And I was like, what? Like I was a little taken back because she doesn't have kids. She doesn't kind of have those pressures in my mind. I thought she doesn't have those pressures of having children. So what's the upset for her? Well, her upset is just all the commercialization around it. I totally get that. But once we're aware of that and we take a personal responsibility, like turn the commercials off, right? If you don't like Christmas carols, turn the Christmas carols off. Like we need to take some personal responsibility for this because it is everywhere. But we don't have to do it. We don't have to be overwhelmed with other people's doing it, because what happens, we start feeling that resentment. Oh, why is she doing that? Oh, why are they doing that? Oh, I'm not worthy of having that. I have no kids. I have no family. I'm speaking with friends right now who are in their 30s and they're still, they're out there having, some different relationship issues. Some don't have a relationship right now and they wish they did. So there's a lot of anxiety wrapped around going over to family members' homes, without a partner. Or with a partner, a same-sex partner. But we can do that. We can support ourselves in that. And if our friends and our families don't support us in our new diets, in our new ideas, in our, not wanting to talk about politics at the table, like, we need to make different choices, right? So I hope you guys are just getting this. I hope this is making sense to you. A lot of this stuff is deep-seated. It's really deep-seated. And this is when it really, truly comes out the most, and it's during the holidays. And it can ruin the holidays. Creating new stories by creating a vision. What do I want this to look like? How do I want to be? And we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. How do I want to be? What's my to-be list? So this year, my personal vision, I want to be happy. I really do. I know that things are going to start getting busy. I know that I'm going to have to start creating a budget. I have a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old. I don't know if my 12-year-old still is a believer. So what does that look like? And that does cause me a little bit, not stress, but, I wonder, how is that going to play into it? So maybe I'll have a conversation. I'm not sure. I don't know how that is, but, these little things can add up. We have a different plan for this Thanksgiving. And what is that going to look like? I think it's going to be great. I really do. But I'm also going to create a vision for myself on almost what my personal boundaries are, right? Because we've all been in that situation where something comes up with family or friends and it triggers us. And I don't want that to happen. I really just want to bring that down. Again, whether it's the politics, the religion, whether it's things from the past. Holiday parties in the neighborhood. This can really, really be, it seems like it's so fun, right? Like, oh, it's just a holiday party in the neighborhood. But there are issues there. I've seen it. I've seen that happen as well. So when we're creating this vision, do we want to put that? Do we want to say that we're not going to do that anymore? That we're not going to bring a potluck? We're not going to go over there? Everybody parties so hard and, these different things occur. I don't know. But this is really what we need to figure out and really create this vision. So if anybody has anything that you want to write down, any kind of sticking points on, your experiences around the holidays, I'd love to hear that because it's real. So dumping old ways of thinking and doing, I'm just going to look at some things here. Again, get your family involved. What are their values? Right? What are my kids' values? What do they want to do during the holidays? Maybe they don't want to be running around. They don't want to go from house to house. It's not fun, right? Christmas for me is just relaxing. It's just enjoying. Most Christmases we don't take a shower, but that might not be what you like. That might not be how you want to spend your day. Creating the awareness around it, creating responsibility and accountability, and then creating a vision. These are the 3 things that I truly, truly encourage you to do. Take a look at the holidays as if it's already gone by. So we don't have that condition-based decision. In other words, we're making decisions at the Thanksgiving Day table, like I really can't stand that person across the table. Like, let's choose that before we go. And really step up and say, I'm not going to go there. My kids don't like it. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable because I have a partner. I don't have a partner. I have a same-sex partner. My food choices are different. I don't care that it's my first cousin. We're choosing not to do that this year. Through compassion. This is what I'm choosing to do. I'm choosing not to be unhappy. I'm choosing myself, choosing my family. So anyway, I think that's really all I wanted to share today. I hope this helped. Tomorrow we're going to be back on at noon. I'm going to talk about to-be list. We all have a huge to-do list, but what's your to-be list? And that's what we want to talk about tomorrow. So I encourage you to write 3 to 5 things down, what you really love about the holidays and what you really hate about the holidays. Create that awareness now. Stop telling these stories. Take full responsibility. And create a vision. If you need help with any of this, please reach out to me. I am happy to hold you accountable give you some more clues, or just really support you in talking to maybe some people that you're going to hurt their feelings about not showing up this year, or saying no to making cookies, or deciding not to go to church, or anything that supports you and your values. So anyway, thanks for being here, and I hope this is navigating your holidays with ease is some help for you. Anyway, see you tomorrow, 12 o'clock. My name's Kathy Talone, and I look forward to continuing this conversation. Thanks. Bye, Bridget.